I'm Jacqueline Gelineau, and I'm joined here today with Gary Suddard for the Canadian Futures Party, and he's representing the Okanagan Lake West-South Kelowna riding. Now, thank you very much for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me. Any opportunity to get our message out is much appreciated.
Yeah, and so you're the first candidate we've interviewed from this party, the newest party. Can you just explain a little bit about, the history of the Canadian Futures Party and what you represent?
Absolutely. That will be the easiest part, the history, because we were only formed in November of this year, so we're only 6 months old. But just to let you know, we're a serious party. We're not a special interest party. We have a full platform with evidence-based plans for almost all the issues we face here in Canada. And we have thousands of members, just in this 6 months, thousands of members from coast to coast. And we're running candidates in every province except PEI. So in a short period of time, we've come a long way. And we've come a long way because we have a really good message. We feel that the Canadian Future Party represents the values of Canadians better than any other party. And clearly, that's why we're doing so well so far, and we'll only grow exponentially from here.
Mm-hmm. And so for people who aren't familiar, where do you fall on the political spectrum?
We're moderates. We're moderates, and we feel most Canadians are moderates. We're fiscally responsible, and we're socially progressive. We want to maintain all our social programs, but we don't want to go broke doing it. Now we're hearing everyone seems to be giving tax breaks these days. Imagine that, even the Liberals. But the fact of the matter is, and don't get me wrong, I am totally against punitive taxes like the carbon tax. Totally against that. Or any punitive taxes on luxury items, that kind of thing. Any time the government is trying to change our behavior by making things cost more, I'm against. But basic taxes, this is not a time when our sovereignty is threatened. That's not a time to be buying votes with taxes, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are some of the key issues that's facing your riding in particular?
My riding in particular is concerned about crime, mostly minor crime, and housing. Mm-hmm. And we have plans to address that. What you will find with the Canadian Future Party is we're happy to side with another mainstream party if we feel they're going in the right direction. If we feel their plan is evidence-based, and then we will side with them. And we believe in mandatory consequences for repeat offenders. And I think most of the crimes happening are from repeat offenders. Mm-hmm. The other type of crimes are online crimes, bullying and such, and we have a plan for that too. Mm-hmm. We believe that the hate crimes and things, they are growing out of misinformation on social media platforms, and misinformation is magnified by algorithms. Mm-hmm. So the Canadian Future Party would force all social platforms to stop their algorithms unless presented to and accepted by the users. Mm-hmm. And I think that would allow people to see more of what reality is. Now I would go a step further, and this is me personal, but this misinformation drives me crazy. What I would do is make all social media, all media, label themselves to be entertainment, opinion, or news. And if it's news, they have to adhere to a level of veracity. Mm-hmm. And if they do not, if they are found to be messaging public misinformation, there should be consequences. So that's one of the issues. The other big issue we have here is healthcare, and healthcare especially relating to the elderly. That I have so much experience in. Almost everyone I know right now is dealing with elderly parents, and what are we going to do? How do we help them best? And I took care of my father at home until he died at 95. Mm-hmm. And that was an experience, I can tell you. Also helped put my in-laws into different levels of care along the way, and that was an experience. We need so much help on that. Mm-hmm. We need so much help. And one of the biggest things we need to do is to get medical professionals, more medical professionals here. And we can do that by, well, were you aware that a huge proportion of Canadian medical professionals are educated in other countries? Mm-hmm. You were, eh? Especially Ireland and Australia.
And it's very hard for them to come back to Canada.
It is so hard to come back. My nephew, in fact, he was a paramedic, and even with paramedic training, could not get into med school in Canada. Mm-hmm. He had to go to Australia, got caught in COVID there, mm-hmm. But did finish his degree and came back, and what a time he had getting in residence, because our program in Canada is that you have to be sponsored by a Canadian university to get in residence. Mm-hmm. So that means they're going elsewhere to get educated, and they can't come back and practice here in Canada. Not to mention that a lot of these young people are going there to get educated. They're falling in love there and not coming back, right?
That's right.
So that's a big issue. That's a big issue. We need to make sure we have, that we allow, when they're coming back, that we have residency for them. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing. And we have to be in touch with them and convincing them to come back until such time as we have enough spots in our own medical schools to educate them all here. Mm-hmm. And my other personal opinion is that all education should be free, mm-hmm. as in Europe. And then people will study what they want to study, not what they feel is needed, or, you know. So I really think that we can learn something from many European countries.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned the Future Party is quite moderate. A lot of these concepts that you have or ideas and the platforms would require a lot of funding. With the Future Party, where would that funding come from? What kind of taxation would be in place, and what would that look like?
Well, I don't think of what I've described would be any more hard financially on the system than what we currently have. I think that our taxation base can just be readjusted, and that we could find it within the system. I don't think we need to come with new taxes to afford these things. Now education, that's a different story. That would be a long-term plan to finance all education here. But one of my thoughts would be to make whoever we're educating for free give back into the system. Mm-hmm. In other words, a doctor would be educated for free here, but he would be required to practice in a community. We would have color-coded communities for a certain number of years to give back. Now, I don't want to go off on a limb on that, because that's just my thought. That's not official Canadian Future Party policy. So, so I don't want to belabor that particular opinion.
No, that's all right. So another thing that was mentioned, housing affordability.
Right.
What would you be advocating for? What are you advocating for, within specific to your riding, that would improve affordability for the
Certainly. Well, the first thing we would like to do is bring back CMHC. Are you familiar with that? Canadian Mortgage and Housing, to assist. One of the big deals is the young people are telling me, well, we can't get the down payment, and this is a way to help them get the down payment. I would really, really support bringing back CMHC, helping them have that second mortgage to get their down payment. I would also like to remove the 5% GST on new homes, mm-hmm. because that is just an extra burden. Mm-hmm. We would like to, for the lower income, we would like to use federal lands. There's a lot of federal lands. We'd like to designate some federal lands for low-income housing, and we would like to encourage, via incentives, things like modular home communities on those lands, lower-income homes on those lands, so it'd be a not-for-profit housing. And that's some of the ways we feel we could really help relieve some of the pressure on the housing situation.
Mm-hmm. Another key issue in this election is resource extraction. In your riding around here, we've got lumber, we have mining, and we're in a trade war with our
Right.
number one trading partners. What would you do to address that, and what would you be advocating for?
Well, I think all the parties right now are advocating to get rid of the trade barriers between provinces, and we are really firm on that as well. The other thing we'd like to see is we'd like to see a west-east energy corridor. I mean, we put a railroad in, we put a highway in. Why can't we put an energy corridor in where we can use it for whatever? We can use it for oil, we can use it for gas, we can use it for electricity, for data. Just make that corridor and take it on as a federal project, and then whoever is shipping through that corridor, they can compensate for it. But that's our idea, is to make that energy corridor right across the country. Now, I understand Quebec is a bit of an issue on that, but I believe that can be negotiated. I believe it can, because I think it's in their interest too. In the meantime, we have the Great Lakes, and who knows, people are talking about Hudson Bay now, so maybe, right? So that's one of our ideas for that resource extraction.
Another key industry that's been really hit by these tariffs and a lot of the changes is our agricultural sector. Specifically, fruit and vegetable farmers are finding that they're really hit on both sides of this trade war with the inputs that they have to buy from the States to put on their crops, and then they're having barriers in selling their products. What's a solution that you see to that issue?
Certainly, we can most help with helping them sell their products, and that's through trade barriers. I mean, I want to see Summerland, well, I shouldn't say Summerland, but Okanagan wine in Ontario. I want to see Summerland sweets on the grocery shelves in Ontario. And why not? Trade barriers are crazy within a country. We're one country. We should be able to ship back and forth from province to province. My daughter lives in Alberta. She can't get our fruits and vegetables without paying an arm and a leg for them. Yet we're shipping them down south all the time. So I think removing all the trade barriers, and I mean removing them all now, is one of the best solutions to that. But the other solution is for farmers that are hurt. We are going to impose reciprocal tariffs, and we need to use that money to help everyone who is hurt by this trade war, and that's how we are best going to help the farmers.
Now, what would you say to people who fear that a new party like the Futures Party would be, splitting the vote, would be impacting who ends up winning a riding? We've heard this many times over, specifically with the left.
Well, I haven't heard that before. I'm the only candidate in BC. I don't think I'm going to be changing who becomes our party in power. We realize that we will not be governing this country, but we will be planting a seed. We will be planting a seed, and for the future of and we really do believe that we are the only party who has the value of the majority of Canadians in mind. Now, as far as splitting the vote goes, I didn't get to the big change we would like to make, and that's in our electoral system. Two parts to that. First, we would like to see mixed member proportional representation, and what that would do is give the West a way bigger say in Ottawa. That's critically important to us. The other critically important component is that we believe, right now, we have 342 members that are just voting machines. They vote how they're told to vote. We'd like to bring in a non-whip system, and our party would not be whipped, meaning every member speaks his mind and votes his conscience. That's how I can best help my riding. I don't have to vote along party lines. I can vote for what my constituents want, and that's how I can best help. So, split the vote. You have to start somewhere. If people believe in us, as I think they will when they receive our message, if people believe in us, then it has to start somewhere. It has to start somewhere. So help us plant the seed. And this election, we will get a handful of MPs in, but next election, we may make some real changes to this country.
Now, you mentioned how much you love where you live.
I do.
What is your favorite part of your riding?
Well, Summerland's so small, I love all of it. But Summerland is a community where you're driving down the road, and if you see someone walking down the sidewalk, you stop at the crosswalk even if they haven't turned across, just in case. You anticipate. And you should, because they will just turn and walk. They're used to that. It's such a nice, friendly community, and all of the Okanagan used to be like this, and we're growing at a tremendous rate. I would love to see a new bridge, by the way. I mean, if I could do anything to get the feds to put a new bridge in there, I'd be right on that one. Favorite part? Well, Summerland is such a small place. I just love the whole thing. I live right on the edge in a suburb, but right next door to orchards, and we have bears coming up, and deer walking down our street. It's just an amazing place to live.
Well, that's lovely. Well, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for